Now we're on to stuff that I think is going to be a little bit easier to just talk about, which is gameplay.
Yeah.
What works? Let's start off positive.
The actual like combat works pretty well. It's okay. Once you get used to it, it works. But at the beginning, it's a little bit janky having to go through the magic system, the item system. Like well, quite frankly, it's hard to use items while in the middle of attacking, in the middle of a group of enemies and all that. But you get used to it.
One thing they do in 2, you know the whole shortcut menu that they introduced? One thing they do in 2 is instead of having 3 slots for the shortcut menu, they have 4, which is great.
Yeah.
But the other thing to do is you can't just put magic spells in there, you can map an item to it. Ooh, excuse me. You can map items to it as well. So if you want to put like an elixir in there or something for bosses, you can shortcut to that really fast. Of course, that menu system of D-pad in the middle of combat is still there and difficult to navigate for sure.
Because it can really screw you over in certain fights.
But I think that the hits are just meaty.
Yeah, they feel
There's a good sense of impact, which Kingdom Hearts 2 has as well, which some of the Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance kind of lose a little bit of the sense of impact. I think they were designed by different teams. Kingdom Hearts 2, if anything, has a way better sense of impact, and just hitting things feels great in KH2 and KH1. They both, the combat system, it feels good to hit things.
You feel accomplished after you've defeated a group of enemies, and it feels good while you're doing it.
And there's also, I think that one thing that impacts a lot of the design in KH2, which I won't get into right now, is that in KH2 you have a lot more ways of getting people into the air. Like the combo system in KH2 is a bit more complicated. You can basically, instead of having I in my abilities equip combo plus the hurricane spin thing that Sora does, or the sliding dash thing, right?
Yeah.
In Kingdom Hearts 2, you have certain abilities you can equip where it's like, in the middle of a combo, press square to perform this type of attack. Or when you get to the finisher, press square and you'll perform this different type of finisher. And there's a bunch of attacks in KH2 that are built around launching people. They're the spike moves, if you will. There's a move where Sora does like uppercut with his keyblade and knocks things into the air. There's one where he jumps and stabs into the ground. There's a big explosion and it launches people into the air. And the aerial combat system is a lot more advanced because in KH1, the only time you're using aerial combos is on enemies that are in the air. In Kingdom Hearts 2, any enemy can be in the air at any time. Most of the bosses even can be launched if you manage to finish a combo on them, which affects a lot of the level design. Like this is something we'll get into a lot more with KH2, but there are some spaces in KH1 that are not easy to manipulate the camera in. Like Merlin's house is a mess. The hallway in the hotel in Traverse Town is a very low ceiling. It's kind of difficult to move around in that space. But I think as a result, all of those spaces feel more realistic. They feel less video gamey, even though they're difficult to kind of navigate in. They feel less video gamey. Whereas in Kingdom Hearts 2, because all spaces are combat spaces in Kingdom Hearts 2, really, is part of the problem with it. Because you can launch anything, there can't be low ceilings. There can't be, weird, jagged textures anywhere. Right. There can't be this extra detail because you move so fast and can get things into the air and fight things up there that it impacts a lot of things. But anyway, the magic system in Kingdom Hearts 1 I like because each of the spells, perhaps outside of Fire and Blizzard, which kind of feel approximately the same, they all have their own uses. I always feel like Thunder's kind of useless. Like, it doesn't do enough damage, I feel like, to merit the use sometimes. But, like, Stop, incredibly useful and unique.
Yeah.
Arrow's useful and unique. Gravity is useful and unique. Cure's, self-explanatory.
Exactly.
Or whatever,
And Gravity, even, like, it has those certain chests that you use it on, and it lowers the platform. Like, just having any kind of uses like that is also...
There's a lot of puzzle stuff in Kingdom Hearts 1 that's, like, really, basic, like, not that complicated. The door to Merlin's place has fire on it. Shoot it with fire.
Exactly.
It's not much like that in the future Kingdom Hearts games, which is a shame. There's a lot more interaction within... And again, this is part of... We'll get to this in a little bit when we talk about level design a bit more. But anyway. So in terms of things that don't work, I think that...
Character AI.
Yeah, the enemy, your partners don't know what to do most of the time.
They die a lot.
Donald dies a lot of the time. It's a running gag in the Kingdom Hearts fan base. Donald is always the first one down. But anyway, the gummy ship stuff, as much as I talked about its narrative use, it's not...
It's neat, but it's completely unnecessary.
Like, that, what a complicated construction system for something that is so simple to play.
Yeah.
Like, it's telling that speedrunners don't need to make better ships to beat those.
No. Another thing, like, going back to combat, just having, like, dodge roll and the block on the same button doesn't work. Doesn't work.
You need a PC for that, son. You need a keyboard. Lots of buttons. Kingdom Hearts has always had a problem with button scarcity. They haven't had enough stuff to do. I would say maybe the PS4 will fix that because they have the touchpad things, so maybe they can have like an extra button or two, but yeah, well, it has to be on Xbox One as well, so they can't.
Exactly.
That's the problem with all the multi-console stuff. It's like it diminishes any of the use of that.
Yeah, exactly.
That
like you'll see, like, and I hate it on PS4 is I'll play a game that's on multiple systems, and it's just like, oh, the touchpad.
Pause.
You can do this thing with it. Here, you go up to an item and press it, and it scans it. Wow. Whoa!
Whoa!
But okay, I'm being I'm being a little too critical of it. The things where you actually have to slide and stuff on it, that's stupid. I hate that. But it does.
It's a bit obnoxious.
Games that actually just say like, okay, it's actually 2 buttons because there's
the different sides of it. Yeah, exactly.
Games that are like, because I know Scholar of the First Sin did it, where it's like, okay, each of those buttons like opens up a separate menu, and that's helpful. Like one's like a gesture menu, and one's like a separate item window that you can use, and that's really good. And they're not trying to bullcrap you into using like the touchpad, like oh, I can draw with my finger.
Oh yeah, great,
Woo,
awesome. It's
right.
almost like I'm playing on the Wii U. Wait a second, I already have a Wii U. Why am I using this?
It doesn't work.
No, not particularly. But I don't know what else like doesn't function very well. I don't know. Like I think. There's okay, this is definitely a problem, again, because I guess it's getting more to level design. We can talk about level design, who cares? The areas are very interconnected. Like Hollow Bastion, you may notice a lot. You can jump off things and you can fall down to the next area. There was that one time we were running back to go like replace Beast out of the party or something. We were fighting people, and I fell down a platform and had to do 10 minutes of getting back to where I was, right? It's like, as a result, your world feels super connected. Like again, you'll know what I'm talking about when we play Kingdom Hearts 2.
Okay.
The environments in that game forward feel very video gamey. There's it's again, like I said, all spaces are designed such that you can have combat in them. Whereas Kingdom Hearts 1 has gameplay space and aesthetic space, right? The problem is that it doesn't know the difference between the two. Like, the most egregious example is the camp in Deep Jungle, which is you have the tents and stuff.
Yeah.
You have the little, you have the grandfather clock and the table with the Miss Potts and Chip on it, like there was in the movie. And you have the big bag of luggage and stuff. Well, not the bag of luggage, although the huge pile of luggage, right? Which is weird to platform on because there's little tiny outcroppings that you can stand on, and like Sora does, weird jumping animation, to try and get on top of it and stuff. And as an aesthetic space, it's like, wow, I feel like I'm in the camp from Tarzan right now. Oh, I have to fight things here. My Keyblade is hitting, I'm trying to swing and my Keyblade's hitting that table. I'm jumping after things and I'm getting stuck on the luggage. A Heartless jumped down there and I tried to hit it, but I hit the luggage and bounced back instead. And you have fights in areas that are also platforming areas.
They really messed up the platforming. They really messed up the platforming in that game, especially with the rounded edges.
Yeah, the round. Yeah, we've said that before. Where that's a common problem with platforming games late '90s, early 2000s, where nobody knew how to do that stuff in 3D yet. So can I grab it? Can I stand? Nope, can't. Oh well.
Just being able to grab it. If it's a ledge, let the player be able to grab it. If they're intended to be able to get on top of it. There you go. Problem solved.
But that's I think that one of this game has spaces that are okay. This is it's little examples. You can find them everywhere, but it's the accessory shop has the glass table in the middle and the counter that sits behind it and the fireplace and stuff, right? In Kingdom Hearts 2, that would be a flat room with a person selling you a thing, because every single space needs to be very easy to navigate and not clunky at all, which is great, but
that takes away some of the
charm! Because people like these games because they make you feel like you're in Disney Worlds, It's I feel like they could have instead just had a better segregation of the two. This is a place that feels like a Disney World, then you go out here and you fight things, and then there's another room that looks like a Disney World, and then you fight things in another room. Whereas in this game, just they're kind of all mixed together haphazardly, and then in Kingdom Hearts 2, they decide, okay, every space is combat space, or can be at least. Even spaces that aren't combat spaces are just flat, open areas. Like for instance, you remember the Clayton fight?
Yeah.
Had all the cliffs, and we jumped on a vine at one point and slid. It's like, why is that there? I'm in the middle of a fight right now.
Yeah.
But then, on the other hand, as terrible as that fight is, Kingdom Hearts 2 fixes that by having most fights happen in a perfect circular space. Great for game design, there's no variety whatsoever. for instance, I don't know about this. So I had always felt like the Colosseum in Kingdom Hearts 2 was less important than the one in Kingdom Hearts 1. But I was reading on the wiki about the stuff you get from the Colosseum in 2, and I was like, wow, why did I always feel like the one in the first one was more important? And I was thinking about that, and I realized, well, it's because in the first Kingdom Hearts, the arena fight is unique. There's not a lot of spaces in the game that's just a square where you fight things over and over again, right? Whereas in Kingdom Hearts 2, the arena fights are circles. I fight everything in Kingdom Hearts 2 in a circle. Almost every single fight, especially the boss fights, is in a circle. Like, to be fair, the best fights, and people will say, like, but Jacob, that's good game design. I agree, because at the same time, some of the best fights in Kingdom Hearts 1 are the fight against Riku Ansem in the circular area, the fight against Unknown in the circular area. But there's no variation whatsoever in Kingdom Hearts 2, or at least not anything that's significant or meaningful. And
It seems like that would get repetitive real quick.
I think it does. Some people don't mind it as much, but I think I especially feel like it impacts the charm, and you don't feel like you're in these Disney worlds anymore. You feel like
you're in a video game.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like I'm in a video game space. It feels like I'm in a video game space that's been given the color and art assets of this Disney movie, not like I'm in Disney World, you know, where there's real attention given to the little details and making you feel like you're there. I guess we already discussed platforming and how much that messes everything up. Enemy design in general. So, like, obviously the coloration was different in this one, which it's going to be weird in Chain of Memories because you're going to see all the original colors for the enemies. Because the enemies in Chain of Memories are not recolored. So you're going to be seeing the original versions as your second impression.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
It's just going to be funny, I think. But, like, in general, what do you think of the enemy design in this game?
They were nice. I liked them. Anything from, like, okay, like the heartless, like the ones that you fight at the very beginning of the game, you see them and you're like, you immediately know, you're like, oh, look at these grunts, look at these things that I can just kick around or whatever. But then, like, with the tougher enemies, they really make them beefy and meaty looking. Especially, like, the ones with the swords. Like, of course, those are your favorites, and I really like them too.
Yeah, you can gauge what's powerful by looking at it, for sure.
Also, like, I feel like there was...
Unlike in Final Fantasy VII, where you're fighting the same looking robot things at the beginning of the game and end of the game.
I feel like there was a decent amount of variation too, like in the different areas with different enemies. And of course, like the further you went on, you started seeing more and more of certain enemies. Like you started seeing those little puff balls of death a lot more towards the end of the game.
Which ones?
You know, the final area of the game, there was a bunch of these, like they were just circular enemies that were floating.
Oh, the dark balls. Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah. They got the little like weird wriggly arms and stuff.
Yeah, like, as you went through the game, like a lot of ones were reoccurring, but there was enough variation, like to please me. And if nothing else, like different recolors and making them tougher. That's of course that's not an end all, but it was enough.
I also like how there are certain ones that are themed specifically around the world.
Yes.
Like we were talking about, on Atlantica, there's like the ones that it's like a bubble around the jellyfish's head. Yeah,
and see, like that, I was about to actually mention that one because I was like, it's underwater. It looks like something that would be underwater.
And the ones when you're on Halloween Town, there are some enemies that are on other worlds, but they all get retextured to look like Halloween Town. To all look like that, very textured kind of real. I could run my finger along it and feel grooves kind of look. Like the shadow basic grunts look different.
Most importantly, I didn't feel like there were too many enemies that there weren't enemies. I can't think of a good example, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Like you're playing a game and you're fighting a group of enemies, and then one type spawns, and you just groan because it's so convoluted how you have to fight it. The closest thing I can think of is like the big fat ones that you can't hit from the front, but those aren't annoying. Those, like you can easily get around that. It's just a little bit more inconvenient than a regular enemy, but it's not a bad game choice, like design wise. And I really did like that. I liked that I didn't. Oh, I guess I wasn't playing, but I'm glad that I didn't see enemies and dread it for you. Like seeing, like, oh, you're going to have, what you gotta do is you're gonna have to, when it changes color, you're gonna have to shoot it with fire, and it's gonna fall to the ground. You're gonna have to hit it 2 times. It's gonna become invincible again. Like that gets frustrating. And
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like it has enemies that are elemental equivalent, but you can beat them by hitting them with a keyblade. You just get more bonus. You get bonus experience for killing them the other way.
Yeah, and if nothing else, they don't just absolutely obliterate you if you mess up or you don't take care of them quickly enough.
We already kind of talked about boss fights a little bit. Like stuff like the Clayton fight sucks. Riku and Unknown are awesome. And like even though stuff like the Ursula fight was bad, it wasn't bad. It was frustrating. We were probably underleveled. Like it was very cool.
Again, it was cool.
Again, the charm, putting it in the Disney movie, and fighting. Again, we're fighting Maleficent. We get to fight.
It's almost enough to distract you from the fact that it was a bad fight.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, we already talked about platforming, level design, and yeah, I can probably pretty much skip all these. We already got all this stuff. Yeah, okay. Music. Nothing to say here except that it was fantastic.
Yeah, good music.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yoko Shimomura is a great composer. You know that she also did the soundtrack for Xenoblade Chronicles, right?
Did she?
Yeah, same person. She also did all the.
I really like the soundtrack of Xenoblade.
Yeah, she's done a bunch of stuff. She did. I think she did like half of the music for the original Street Fighter 2. We don't know exactly what she wrote because apparently like she wrote most of it and then somebody else came in and finished it up. I like to think that she wrote Guile's themes because it makes me feel good inside. To think that she wrote that. Also, it kind of sounds like some of her stuff, but like she's done the Mario and Luigi games. She's done Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
A bunch. She's done a bunch. You can look it up. All of her stuff is great. One thing, like from a discussion standpoint, I want to say just very briefly is the way that she adapts like Disney sounds. And you haven't watched the music episode, but in that I talk a little bit and then demonstrate by showing music how between the original version of the game and the 1.5, like the original version has synthesized sound, sounds a bit more cartoony. The next one, the remake has more organic sound. But either way, even though she's one composer, she definitely goes out of her way to recreate the specific feel and style of each setting you go to, I think. Very different types of instruments, different pace. And I know that may sound arbitrary because any good composer for a video game hopefully makes different areas feel different, but she didn't just have to make things feel different. She had to make it feel like the original movie, which she accomplishes for the most part, which is impressive, I think. Like for stuff like doing the Under the Sea and This Is Halloween, it's like obvious she just redoes the music. But then like for fight music for those locations, or for some of the other ones where she can't pull direct theme songs, just to think about a bit more about how to compose that kind of stuff. Like the Winnie the Pooh theme. Even though she obviously put her own spin on it, like it's fairly straightforward. But doing the mini game music for Winnie the Pooh, had to write something new, but make it still fit alongside all that stuff. Which I think she deserves a medal. But anyway, then she also has it still has a unique sound though. Like I remember reading something once where when they were getting ready to do the first trailer for the game, and she had to do a piece of music for it. She was figuring, okay, it's Disney, we're gonna do something kind of lighthearted or whatever. Nomura came to her and said, "No, you need to do this," and it was, I don't forget which one. It was either it was the stuff from either the opening in the stained glass thing or the end of the world fight music. The like that stuff, right? That was what he wanted for the trailers, which is obviously not very Disney. So she still had to find a very unique sound in that way as well. I just think she did a good job. That's all there is to say on that front. Okie dokie. Let's see here. After music, I have writing. My question to the writers is: ever heard of exposition? Because I don't know what's going on in this game a lot of the time. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of times where they just kind of run and do things. And they never really explain how it works or what they do.
In the words of a man named Todd, it just works. It just happens.
One thing I was actually going to ask you because I did not. This was one of the questions that I posed to you before. Obviously, considering I was here kind of telling you stuff a lot of the time, how well could you follow along? Like let's just say theoretically if I hadn't been here. Do you think you could have followed what was happening very well?
I could have followed like the overall, I think I would have been able to follow, the Heartless. I would have been reading the Ansem reports. I would have been figuring out like their origin and all that stuff. But some of the deeper themes, like
I'm not talking deeper themes. I'm talking basic comprehension.
Story?
Basic comprehension.
I think I would have. Of course, I wouldn't have understood the whole when he unlocks, or when he stabs himself with a Keyblade and all the other princess things go out.
Yeah, that's not explained
exactly.
Until, 10 minutes
stuff
later.
Like that, I can imagine myself seeing that and really being like, okay, what does that mean? What did I just see? What am I missing?
Yeah, did I skip a cutscene on accident? Why were they inside the Keyblade? What's going on? I don't understand what's happening.
While it is, a fairly deep story, I think I would have been able to understand, the majority of it.
I say this because you probably know this, Kingdom Hearts has a reputation for being ridiculously convoluted and hard to follow. Perhaps it's because I've, I don't know, I feel like I have a good, there was a video, that put it, unfortunately, you're gonna need to have a degree in to understand the story of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Towards the end, I probably would have been pretty confused, especially the whole, I still don't really understand the whole, Kingdom Hearts is light.
I don't know. No, nobody knows what Kingdom Hearts is, dude. They change it every single time.
So I'm glad I'm not...
There's a fake one in Kingdom Hearts 2, but it might be real. It works differently. I don't know. I think I know the definition, but they've changed it a bunch of times, and they might change it again. I don't know.
All right.
But I just say that because, like, I know that I'm used to, like, kind of complicated, convoluted stories, I think, because there's this. I had some examples of, like, similar stuff. I think also, like, a lot of anime, you get used to eventually, like, that. Not that I watch a ton of anime, but, like, at some level, I'm used to, like, Metal Gear's a good example. Metal Gear is a really good example where I'm used to following along with that. Like, I can follow most of what happens in Metal Gear, so Kingdom Hearts is not a problem for me.
Right.
Like, I just kind of talked about, not understanding the Kingdom Hearts thing. Like, I mostly get everything that's going on in this. Like, it's not that difficult for me, but some people have a real hard time figuring out what's going on in these games. So that was why I felt like asking, because I feel like, especially with this one, it's reasonably straightforward. We'll see as we go forward through the series, though, if you can keep up.
All right. Of course, like, I could be wrong, because, we'll never know for sure, because I won't have played it on my own. But, like, I just feel like I would have been able to keep up with the majority of it.
Yeah, and I think we're both nerds, and we read and watch a lot of, like, really ridiculous, convoluted stuff, so maybe we're just adapted. I don't know.
Maybe.
One other thing I like about this game, in comparison to the others, is there's minimal bullcrap. Like, they do not expect you to follow that many terms. Like, okay, worlds, fairly self-explanatory. They're like planets, they're just different. Okay, there's the Keyblade. It unlocks things, it's special. I got it. Okay, there's Heartless, there's Light, there's Darkness. That's all pretty self-explanatory. Princesses of Heart. It's kind of complicated, but they explain it. I think I got it, right? Like, that's all the terms. There's more terms. That's all you need to know to understand what's going on. In the future games, I have a really long list here. Let's see. Okay, Nobodies, Unversed, Dream Eaters, Nothingness, Realm of Darkness, Realm of Nothing, Data, Keyblades, X-Blade, which is actually the Keyblades, pronounced the same way, complicated, Wayfinders, Sleeping Realm, Lanes Between, there's a bunch of the same guy, there's the Book of Prophecies, Doors, there's other types of doors, there's the Door to Light, the Cornerstone of Light, the Keyblade Armor, Keyblade Gliders, Negativity, Organization 13, there's another Organization 13 other than the main Organization 13, there's a place that has two names that mean the same place, and that's, follow along.
You lost me at Dream Eater.
That's one of the problems with the later ones, is that there's compounding complexity, and most of it honestly isn't needed. Like, and I don't want to get into, like, if something doesn't have some kind of meaning, get it out of there. But, like, a good example, I think, is the Matrix movies. I don't know if you've seen those or not.
I have, yeah.
Okay, have you seen all of them or just the first one?
I've seen all of them.
Okay, like, with the first one, okay, there's the Matrix and the One and the human survivors and stuff, and there's, like, basically all of the weird, complex stuff that's going on in there has something to do with the storytelling. It's like, okay, there's the agents... Okay, I'm actually recording a pickup after we did this discussion episode because when I tried to explain what I was talking about with the Matrix and complexity thing, I botched it. I needed to record it afterwards. What I was trying to get at was this. In the first Matrix film, there are a lot of complicated elements to the story. There's concepts like the Matrix, the One, the agents, the machines, and a lot of it might be a little difficult to take in the initial film, but all of the elements of the film contribute to the story. The agents are the villains, the Matrix is the setting, the One kind of provides the thrust of the plot, the Oracle exists for a reason. All of it exists in some way to facilitate the story. It all needs to be there to make the film what it is. Whereas the future films, in kind of this arms race of complexity, because people, thought the first one was super complicated, and they thought, we need to make this one even more complicated. They throw in so much stuff, and none of it really contributes to the film in any way. Like the Merovingian and the architect or engineer or whatever the name of the old guy is. And there's just so much in those films, so much added superfluous detail that doesn't actually help the story, that doesn't push the world forward in any way, only exists to, quote, expand the lore, but it doesn't help any. It only confuses the audience and distracts from what the actual point of the film is. And I'm not saying that in terms of, like, I guess the point of this film. I just mean simple plot progression and storytelling becomes muddled by all this stuff.
The sequels of the first one really felt like different movies. Like,
yeah.
The first one felt like its own movie, and the other ones felt like just like, it's the same. It's got some characters that's the same, but
that's what I mean about, like, going into this stuff. Because again, I don't think that everybody needs to go in deep into stuff as I'm talking about it right here. But when you say the charm, there's a reason. When you say they're different, there's a reason. And if you don't understand what the reason is, you can't make it better. And personally, I'm of the opinion, I don't like criticizing things if I can't propose a way to make it better.
Right.
Like, I don't like saying I don't like that, or that they shouldn't have done that, if I can't say a way that it could have been better. So that's why I really like looking at these things. But anyway. Alright. Now we're getting on to some of the questions that I sent to you beforehand. These are just kind of some wrap-up ones. I already asked you if you had a hard time following the story. And I already asked you about the Destiny Island section, was it being longer originally? So, how much did you care about the important characters? We kind of already talked about that a bit, like saying Kairi was, a decent character and stuff, but, like, again, I just wanted, I'm trying to look at how effective you feel like the story was. Did you care about Sora, Riku, and Kairi?
I did, yeah. I cared about them a lot. Well, I say that. I cared about Sora more than all the others, just because, of course, he's the main character.
He was there all the time, sure.
I don't really know how to put this into words. It's like, I did care about Riku and Kairi, and I thought they were interesting, but at the same time, like, if they were to disappear, I wouldn't have been heartbroken.
Sure.
In some form or another.
I understand. What else we got here? Okay, which aspect kind of intrigues you and draws you in? Now that we've finished the first game, you came into this knowing there was Disney, and a guy named Sora, and Sephiroth was in it. Now, going forward with the rest of it, which of these elements do you think, which one do you look forward to seeing more of? The Disney element or the original aspects?
Honestly, the original. I look forward to that. Because, of course, like, the Disney has a sort of nostalgic feel to it. But at the same time, at this point, I'm invested in the actual story of the game.
And the actual
characters, the Heartless, Sora, all of them. That being said, of course, I'm looking forward to more Disney areas and whatnot. Is there going to be any, okay, this game really didn't have much Final Fantasy in it. Like, does that?
You don't go to any Final Fantasy settings. There are more Final Fantasy characters in the later ones, I would say, but you never go to a Final Fantasy world. One of the things that I say in my top 10 videos, I feel like they should do one of those in Kingdom Hearts 3. People in the comments didn't like that so much. But there are more of the Final Fantasy characters in 2. It's really minimal in 3. No, 3's not out yet, obviously. I mean Birth by Sleep, the real 3, the real 3. But I would say that the Final Fantasy elements ramp up a bit in 2, and then become more minimal after that. One thing, Nomura has said that he relies on it a little bit less now because he feels like he has a wider roster of original characters in more recent games.
Originally going into this, I was thinking, 33%, Disney, 33%, original story, and 33%
Disney, yeah.
Final Fantasy. So honestly, I was a little surprised that there wasn't more Final Fantasy, considering that's what I had known it for.
Then instead, they were just little cameos.
Yeah.
They were supporting characters.
Yeah, they were cameos, and the supporting characters would a boss or two.
Yeah, the secret boss with Sephiroth and whatnot. Okay, what else have we got here? We kind of already discussed. Obviously, we've already gone through things we didn't like, but was there anything in the game that you just really did not like? Like they just stood out to you as things like I could have done without that.
Character AI. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just
Fine
it's so bad.
All right.
So bad.
If you could make one big design, story, or gameplay change, what would it be? Like you can just make one sweeping decision, just kind of rewrite history and change the game in one way. What would you do?
I think you already know what I'm gonna say.
Character AI.
Character AI. It's an easy answer, but it's the truth. It blows my mind that you could give them items and within a minute all of them are gone. Like that you get a scratch on you and they waste a mega potion on you.
Mine would have been a little bit more Kairi. Like not a ton. Like I don't need a huge amount more. Just a little bit more.
It would have been nice to see more of her in there.
And I don't necessarily mean even on Destiny Islands. Because again, that I agree that the prologue section is long enough.
I think post saving her stuff would have been helpful.
I also think flashbacks would have been easy to implement at some point. Like you had the hallucinations of her, and you had a couple flashbacks to young Sora and Riku throughout the game. I feel like we'd had a couple flashbacks to even teenage Sora, Riku, and Kairi on the island, just as a little bit of a reminder of what the stakes were and the characters.
That would have been good.
A little bit of Kairi post rescue, a little bit more anyway would have been nice. But anyway, that's just me. What else we got here? Okay, Sora originally had a lion's tail and a chainsaw weapon. That's not a question. Just wanted to throw that out there. It's on screen now.
You showed me the concept a long time ago, and I mean it's interesting, but it wouldn't have made if he was gonna do that, then the rest of them would have had to have animal characteristics.
Apparently, Nomura likes lions.
Does
he just enjoys lions.
Riku would have been a shark. I don't know. He's got the spiky
street
teeth.
Sharks. Yeah, exactly.
He has a fin.
Anyway,
but you can't see it ever. You just know it's there.
If you had to explain why you like this game to someone or recommend it, what would you say?
I would say, well, of course, at first I would ask him, like, hey, how much is Disney involved in your life when you're growing up or whatnot? I would explain to them that it has, with all these different, it's more than just a game with Disney characters. It's a game that has a good Disney feel to it while remaining its own entity. It's got, like JRPG elements to it. It's got good combat, a good story. I mean, I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Like, I don't really.
No, that's satisfactory.
I would just say,
I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, I'd just say, like, if that sounds appealing to you, give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, last one.
Oh yeah, and Final Fantasy. You play that game, right? Yeah. Okay.
You play that game, right? Yeah, you like Kingdom Hearts. It's exactly the same.
There's like 16 of them. How have you not played one yet?
All right, and the most important question of all: did you care about what was going on? Like, were you invested in the actual events? Okay.
Yes, I was. Otherwise, I would have spoken out and saying, like, I really haven't been enjoying this, but I was enjoying it. I was invested in what was going on. I was waiting to see what would happen. I was waiting to see, who's this handsome guy? Like, all that stuff. Like, what's going to happen to Sora and all them? How's the game going to end?
And I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I think when you have someone...
I mean, simply put, yes, it was invested in the game.
I mean, really, we could ask that. I mean, obviously, again, this is my whole, okay, they're different, but why? It's lost its charm, but why? Really, we could have asked that question, and this could have been 5 seconds long instead of an hour and a half long. But I think that's the most important question. Like I said, if you cared about what happened, then it succeeded.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I feel like, I've read some fan fiction that was like, this is not, incredibly well written. Or there's some things about it but you know what? It managed to get me emotionally invested somehow, which means, it was effective. If something can manage to make you care about fictional people, digital fake people, cartoon people, then they've done it.
Like, if I was playing it on my own, like, if I had it at my house all that time and I just hadn't played it, but, like, if I actually was playing it on my own without any kind of,
us having to organize and meet up to
all that,
film
like,
it,
I would have continued playing it to the end of it. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like, to keep with the Disney theme, one of the greatest successes of Snow White was there was a documentary recently that PBS did on Disney that I liked quite a bit. That is to say, Walt Disney, the man himself. It was a 2-part documentary. It's like 3 hours, 4 hours long. It's phenomenal. I just liked it quite a bit. It's a 2-part. That's why it's so long. But it was talking about at the premiere of Snow White. Even as people laughed at the gags and were, scared by her running through the forest and stuff, and, people seemed to be involved in it, Disney was still nervous about would it be successful or not, until one moment, which was when she bit the poisoned apple and collapsed, and it looked like the queen had won and Snow White was dead. And there were at least some people in the crowd who were getting teary-eyed or crying or upset. And that was the moment where he knew he had succeeded, because he had managed to get people to so thoroughly suspend their suspension of disbelief that they could care about cartoon characters on a screen, right?
Right.
With that first, obviously there have been short animated features before, but he had managed to make a cartoon that didn't just make you laugh or cheer, but that made you cry, or at least made some people cry.
Right.
And I think that was arguably beyond the pure technical success of Snow White. I think that was the biggest barrier that film broke, was to show that you could convey and touch human emotion through that medium. And that's why that's one of the most important questions for me to any story, is to ask, did you care about what was happening? Because again, anybody can write something in which things happen, but to make something that you care about with fictional characters is the real challenge for any writer or storyteller, and I think that this game definitely succeeds at that. Anyway, that's all we have to say about that, I suppose. We talked for quite a while there. I was hoping this would be about an hour long. We didn't overshoot it too much, I guess. 30 minutes isn't terrible in the big scheme of things.
This is all we have to say, just an hour and a half long discussion.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a bit overwrought, I suppose, because I stopped several times to justify my, rambling and stuff, but anyway, so that's the end of that. Hey, I apologize for this being so late. The plan had been to film this immediately after we finished filming Kingdom Hearts, and guess what? That didn't happen. It's been like 3 or 4 months now. I don't know. We filmed that in June. What is it now? This is like, what month is this?
September.
September.
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, it's been a
Never
bit.
was a cloudy day. Anyway,
Because
that was
like,
that.
I didn't actually realize it'd been that long. Because when you sent me like to look at a few questions before coming over, like I was having a hard time remembering certain details, and I was like, God, why can I not remember? And I was like, oh yeah, it's been a few months.
Yeah, it's been a while. And anyway, that was also why, like, I was also, at least you got to review the finale episode, so you had it a little bit in your head. Because again, I sent him all this stuff so you can watch it and make sure, it's just to get a second opinion. But anyway, so that's that. It'll still be a little, I hope I'll get this out pretty soon anyway. I don't know with school, this might take a while to release, but hopefully I'll release this fairly quickly. Again, after Final Fantasy VII ends, one mystery Let's Play with someone who isn't Joey and myself, and then after that, Chain of Memories will proceed. Hey, Joey, you know what we gotta go do now?
What do we gotta go do now?
We gotta go film. I said Phil. We're not gonna
We're
film.
gonna have to go fill it.
We're gonna go film Chain of Memories, or at least the beginning of it. We're not gonna finish the whole thing today.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
would
start on
hope
it right
not.
now, though. Anyway, hey, how's that? Sorry for taking up so much of your time. Do you like this podcasty format? Did you actually listen to the end? I highly doubt it, but if you did, leave a comment, like and subscribe.
Please like,
favorite,
subscribe,
share on Twitter and
Share-
Facebook,
share on
and
Reddit.
share it on Google Plus and Reddit. Yeah, send it through MySpace, and all the leave a comment on this web zone, and I'll send you a pizza roll and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's great.
It'll be moldy by the time it gets to you, but that's fine.
For real though, say if you guys if any of you got this far and liked it, tell me, and we might hopefully we'll get a better wrangle on our time and keep it under an hour next time we do something like this. I think with 7, we'll be able to keep it under. We'll be able to kind of blow through it a bit faster. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think the things that we dislike about that game are already very clear cut. We don't need to discuss it too much. But anyway, the things we like too. But anyway, that was that. If you like this format and would like to see us do more of it, let me know. If you didn't get to the end and thusly, aren't hearing me say this and don't say anything, then I'll know not to do it again. Anyway, let's go film Chain of Memories, Joey.
All right, let's do this.